And hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Nicodemus Kane, and we're back once again to have a nice little Saturday morning chat about life itself. Might look a little different in the background here. I needed a different perspective on life, so it is what it is. I decided to come over here to my desk. This is my work desk. This is where I make all the magic happen. It it dawned on me as soon as I started doing this that boy, howdy, my camera is terrible. It is what it is, though. I mean, it's the laptop camera, and this isn't the best laptop in the world. I bought a good laptop, but it's just this laptop has just decided to screw with me the whole time that I've owned it. Um, but yeah, different perspective. You get to see a different side of the room. This is the couch back here where I sit. That's my TV where I used to make the video game magic. What can I see in the background? There's some toys up here. That's the Playmobil Ghostbusters set. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a cow skull right up here. Yeah, right there. That's cow skull that one of the dogs when we used to live in Florida. They brought it up to the house, and my stepdad took it and threw it into an ant pile. And once the ants had cleaned it all off, he took it and bleached it, and he gave it to me. There you go. Uh, Way back there in the back, that's my Marvel Legends figures. You can't really see them. It's all blurry, man. It's like I said, my my camera on here is very bad. Where am I at here? That's my pirate flag, and that is my white Minutemen flag. And then my black one is right up here, my Liberty or Death. So, anyways, I'm not here to talk about the stuff in my room. I didn't record anything last week because we had the grandbaby and because the world is really coming down on top of me hard. And I've had to take breaks. I had to step away from it. I've heard several other people have been having to take breaks to walk away. Truthers, people that are trying to tell the truth in the community and all that. And I think we're at that point where we need to step back and start thinking about our lives. Start questioning things, start questioning what's going on in the world and when how we there's a little bit of light for you. Woo. How we go about what we're doing here, because this is absolutely absurd that no one is listening to what we're trying to say and what's going on, and it just seems like the more that we point things out to people, the more they're fighting back. Even if they had the cold hard facts in front of them, they just refuse to listen. And I've gotten to the point where I've just like I need to take a step back. I It all kind of started. I think it was Sunday or Monday. Um, I had I had I had come across a post. Somebody else had retweeted something on Twitter. Um, it was something by I think it was Trump started it, and it was somebody had said something about. I wish I had it exactly. Somebody had said something about God tells us to respect all people, and when you respect all people, you have to wear the mask or something like that in order to respect others, so that you don't make them sick, something like that. And I straight up told him, I said, if you had enough faith as a mustard seed, you would be able to move mountains. Surely, if you had enough faith, you would have to or you wouldn't have to worry about this virus because God would take care of you without a mask. And it started this whole steamroller thing. You know, the first thing that popped up was the seatbelt nonsense. If you feel so safe, why do you wear a seatbelt in a car? Stuff like that. Looking back on it, I really could have laid into the fact that you don't wear a seatbelt to be safe. You wear a seatbelt because somebody tells you to. You know, um, I definitely could have said something about the fact that more people have died in car crashes than have died of the C virus. I could have gone through a lot, but I didn't. Because at the time I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to get into some kind of craptastic argument like that. So the best thing I had for that one was, I wear a seatbelt because I don't trust other people with large metal killing machines. I don't wear a mask because I understand that I have a 95% survivability rate, and I'm probably going to wind up surviving it no matter what. And then it started this whole thing on, you know, I don't know what the guy was trying to convey to me. Like he was thinking that he was trying to convince me that I was wrong about the numbers, and it almost sounded like he was trying to tell me that, or he was trying to convince me that I was the one that was scared, or that I was confused about the numbers. And I said, I'm not confused about the numbers. These people have inflated the numbers to us. They've admitted to it. I've heard several people now at this point tell us that they are inflating the numbers because they count anybody that dies with it as somebody that dies from it. And now that we're not worrying about deaths anymore, we're worried about cases, that the probable cases have the probable cases thing has just gone off the charts. I cannot even remotely fathom why people still will not listen to this kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're just going to stray. That's all we're going to talk about today. I cannot understand. The entire time I'm arguing with this guy, and then somebody else comes in too, and it's not really an argument. I wasn't really arguing at all. I was just straight out put it out there. I was like, they're saying that they're doing that. It's a lie. It's not the truth. They're scaring you into this thing because they're feeding you this stuff. And it was this dude and this other woman came in on it as well, and they kept feeding me these mainstream media articles about how anybody that says that they're inflating the numbers is lying and yada yada yada. And I was like, they admit it. They've admitted it several times now. I said, it doesn't matter what you say. And he's like, well, what about the spike in the numbers? And he gave me this graph and all these other graphs of all these countries and the spikes in the numbers. And I'm like, if they tell you they're lying, why would you believe a graph? Well, that doesn't matter. How do you explain the spikes in it? And he said it like 3 times. And that was whenever I stopped. And I actually deleted Twitter and Facebook off of my phone because I just really don't want to hear any of it anymore. Just the level of closed-mindedness. It's just absolutely absurd. And I fed him the videos too. The videos that we're going to watch today. I'm going to show you where to get them and how to get them and where to find them. I put those up there, and it's like they didn't even watch them. It's like they just like, there's still this spike and yada yada yada. If you're concerned about, and I'm like, I'm not concerned about anything. The only thing I'm concerned about is people like you that just will not wake up, and you're gonna be the one that winds up telling somebody else that I don't believe, and then they're gonna send somebody to my house. And I'm not having that. So no, I'm not concerned about dying from any crazy virus that's gonna kill me. I'm concerned about you friggin' idiot monkeys that are gonna wind up sending somebody to my house because I don't believe. Now, before we go on, if I'm going to use the term monkeys, I'm not talking about black people. Don't get me wrong on that. I am not talking about that at all. Somebody's going to hear that and they're going to think, "Oh my God, he's such a..." No, I've started calling people monkeys because if you want to believe in the evolutionary theory, then that's you. Because all you're going to be is a dumb monkey that you're just going to believe whatever the head gorilla is going to tell you, and you're going to go along with it. I for the longest time, I have never ever ever once associated that term with any race at all, because I grew up in a 30-30-30 racial background. You know, it was 30% white, 30% black, 30% Hispanic. You know, you grow up in South Florida, you don't really have a choice unless you're living on like one of the rich bitch islands that are out there, you know. So I never once considered that. Now there's been a lot of racial tension that's been going on, and a lot of people have been talking a lot of stuff, and I just want to put that out there before we go anywhere else. That no, I don't. I've never considered that like that. If anybody has a problem with that word, then I won't use it. I probably won't use it very much on this anyways. It's usually a word just for me. I know I said it, and if it offends you, I apologize absolutely. It's just my word, because that's the way that I see some of these people, that they just won't listen. They want to believe it, and okay, fine. That's going to be on you. But me, I'm a creature of the Most High. He created us. He created us to be something better than angels. Think about that for a second. So, anyways, now that I've gotten that out of the way, but I wanted to talk about this whole thing, about, you know, really go over it, talk about, show you the videos, talk about what these people are saying, and just get it understood that it's not, it's a lie. They've told us that it's a lie. They are they locked us down because of it, and they scared the hell out of everybody because of it, and they have not lifted the lockdown because of it, and now they're forcing us to hurt ourselves because of it. And I think we need to talk about it. I think it needs to be talked about at this point, because we've gone way past the pale of the kind of nonsense that they're doing to us, and what people are believing at this point. So we have to talk about this. This has to be talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do it. Before we go, no, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that later. Let's see here. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to flip up my Google. Surprise, there's nothing going on there. All right, that's my YouTubes. I'm going to show you how easy this is, and I got to make sure I don't use my work keyboard whenever I'm doing this. It's very easy. Inflated COVID numbers. Now, as soon as you put it in there, the first several things you're going to get, of course, you're going to get the whole CDC thing. Debunking the theory that the number of Americans killed by COVID-19 is inflated. Experts explain how Florida counts CV-19 deaths. The truth about the U.S. CV-19 death count. Right. Mm-hmm. Sure. Colorado changes the way it counts it. Uh-huh. Right. What is the actual death rate? But of course, all of this is just it's trying to get you. I mean, we can watch a couple of these to see exactly what they're saying. Ooh, Italy virus numbers mistakenly inflated. Wait a minute. What? Is this AP archive? Seriously? This is from February? Mistakenly inflated? And yet all this other stuff is saying, what's going on here? Why they will always be wrong? Why they will always be wrong? So wait, you've got debunkers up here, and then you've got other guys down there that are saying, well, it's always going to be wrong. Do you see how it works yet? I mean, the amount of confusion that they lay on top of people. So we're going to go to filter, and you're going to go to upload date, because this is the only way you're going to find truth anymore. So you get all the crazy stuff. Flawed testing leads to hospitals inflating numbers. Most popular country testing numbers are over-reporting the true number of virus cases. Exposes how the low really are. What? Okay, or how low? Just how low the numbers really are. Yeah, I've heard up to 60%. But we're going to keep going down, and I'm going to find. There's one of them. There we go. Here's one. I'm hoping this is the right one. If not, then we can find another one. This. Oh my goodness! Look how tiny this is. Is there not another one in here? Can we not find another one in here? Okay, here we go. Now, just like I said, you type in inflated COVID numbers. Let me make sure that you guys can hear it. All right. You type in inflated COVID numbers, and then you just scroll down, and you find these. This is one right here. This doesn't say what it is. She clearly states if you test positive but die in a car accident for something else, it is still counted as a death. I think this was... It was either Illinois or Michigan. This could have been Missouri, too, for all I know. If anybody knows, please feel free to tell me. So,
it reported the death of a teenager in Cook County. Are you familiar with this case? If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
Okay, we're going to get a definition now.
I didn't want somebody talking over it. I just wanted the absolute video. I don't want, because I'm not going to give you my commentary either until after it's over. Is there another one? There's got to be another one in here. There were like 5 of these things whenever I last looked. So anyways, we'll try it this way. I just don't want anybody talking over it.
If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
How tiny it is. Just listen to it, though.
Okay, we're going to get a definition.
It's the same thing. This is ridiculous. Can I not find the actual link? And this is old, too. This was back in, like, April, man. It's absolutely old. No. That's got to be in here. What was that? That looked like, it disappeared. No, that's not it either. I know this is bad. Let's try this. Hopefully this one's not crazy.
I have a question from a colleague. Michelle Gallardo from ABC7 wants to know, earlier this week, the state reported the death of a teenager in Cook County. Are you familiar with this case? If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
I don't have that information at my disposal at this time. I know we have had people of all age groups die. I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that if, technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
Even if you died from a clear alternative, can I go back to that?
That if technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
Okay, so I mean, how much more clear? I'm putting this in my save because I need. How much more clear can you get? Even if you die from a clear, unrelated cause, even if you die from a clear, unrelated cause, a car wreck is a clear, unrelated cause, and they're going to count you. Oh, but it's just Illinois, you say. Maybe it's just Illinois. The Illinois numbers are inflated. Do you really think that? Do you really think just the Illinois numbers are inflated? Okay, let's try another one. I think actually if I go up, I know I'm scrolling a lot because this is off the cuff. This is how I do it. This is off the cuff. Where's the one? I just saw it. Hopefully this one's not going to be a jerk.
Thank you very much. I think this question is probably for Minister Elliott, actually. I know you've taken questions before about how we include positive COVID-19 cases and deaths, but with regards to the one that we unfortunately just read about, the young girl, the word from Toronto Public Health is that she died of health complications unrelated to COVID-19, but did test positive. So I'm just curious if you want to reiterate why that is being categorized. If it's unrelated to the COVID-19 positive, why it's being listed anyway?
Well, first of all, any death as a result of COVID or where COVID is situated is a tragedy, as it certainly was in this case. Like to extend my condolences to the family of this young person. It's a terrible thing to lose a child, but in some cases, I'm not saying specifically with respect to this case, but in some cases there are situations where there are other pre-existing conditions that may actually be the cause of the loss rather than COVID. COVID is there, but may not have been the cause of death. But
okay, so just so we're clear,
conditions.
She said. Okay, the first thing she did was she deflected. I don't know where this is. I don't know what flags these are. It looks that's a British flag. That's the Union Jack, but I don't know. Is this Canada or is this? This says Ontario, Fearless Ontario. I don't know. But she said first thing she did was she deflected. She said, "Oh, it's such a tragedy." The second thing she said though was that that there could have been an underlying cause, and even though that wasn't what it was, what does she say exactly?
There are situations where there are other pre-existing conditions that may actually be the cause of the loss rather than COVID. COVID is there, but may not have been the cause of death.
So COVID is there, but may not have been the cause of death. So she's not directly saying it, but this was one of the ones that I heard. She's not directly saying it, but she's saying pretty much the same thing. Was that, and the guy even asked, why would this person, because if you have it on you, you died from it. That's what they're doing. They're putting it down on the death certificates. That's what they're doing. You see it yet? Let's keep going. I don't know where that one was. Some of the old ones, man. Because they've been talking about this for a long time now. Like I said, this is the very first ones I heard about them doing was like back in May. I mean, we're 3 months back, 3 months back, and I was saying this stuff, and nobody. AOC explains how she inflated COVID numbers in her district. What? I've never. Let me see this. This is probably going to be a guy talking.
If you remember about a year ago, she really messed up a deal with...
I'm not going to do that.
But we know that we are losing thousands of people in New York City. The death toll was revised up by thousands of people because it included, we started to count people who passed away from COVID-like symptoms, but who did not have access to a test.
Okay, I don't want to get through all this because he's going to keep stopping and talking. I want the video straight. You know, I want the straight video. I don't want to hear somebody talking over top of it. Of course, this was also back as early as May. They were talking. The WHO was talking about having people coming out and coming to your house, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Okay, so here we go. This is from the White House itself. This is good old Burks. Hopefully this is just the video. But this was the second one I saw. And this was another one of those where I kept saying, I've seen it twice now. And this is the second one.
I just want for Dr. Fauci or Dr. Burks. Can you talk about your concerns about deaths being misreported by coronavirus because of either lack of...
So I think in this country, we've taken a very liberal approach to mortality. And I think the reporting here has been pretty straightforward over the last 5 to 6 weeks. Prior to that, when there wasn't testing in January and February, that's a very different situation and unknown. There are other countries that if you had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem, some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in and a form that the intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that as a COVID-19 death.
Can you be sure? I mean, you hear from coroners that that's not necessarily the case. Or are you sure? How can you?
This is a terrible video, but you got the gist of it, didn't you? I'll try it again. Try it again.
Intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that.
If somebody dies with it, we are counting it. She even said there are some countries that if they die of a heart problem or a kidney problem, they count that as a heart problem or a kidney problem. But I think she even called it's a great thing that we're still doing it, that anybody that dies with it, we are counting it as somebody dying from it. And they're not changing those numbers back. Those numbers keep going up.
A heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in.
The great thing about having the forms that come in, and I know I've seen the rest of it. This is a bad video. It's choppy. But the great thing about it is, God, this is absurd. I could put these in front of your face all day long. Are you going to listen to it? They admit it right to your face. We're not telling you the truth. We scared you at the beginning with numbers so that you would lock down yourselves, you would lock down your communities, you would lock down everything. Put yourself into financial trouble, put your friends and your family into financial trouble, and we would treat you like prisoners because we are inflating the numbers to scare you. Now, these were just deaths back in the day. These were just deaths. Now, of course, we just saw the thing with AOC where, maybe they're talking about cases too. I wasn't hearing anything about inflated cases back in the day. I'm hearing things about inflated cases today, and we're going to talk about that. But they sit there and admit it right to your face. We're counting anyone that dies with it as somebody that dies from it. And I don't care Anybody, I've heard people tell me, oh, well, they walk that back later on. No. No, you can't trust the government anymore. These people are going to tell you that they're doing this, and they're going to keep doing this, and they're still doing this. They're probably still doing this to this day. We are just lucky that George Floyd was not marked up as a COVID death. I'm just saying. The other thing that I was talking to this guy on Twitter about, he was like, what about all the spikes? And I said, okay, let's talk about the spikes. Let's talk about all the suicides that have happened over the past 3 months. Suicide rate has skyrocketed. It's like double. They say it was like 400% increase. What about all the deaths that are coming from spousal abuse, child abuse, things like that? People that are stuck in a house with each other, they're hurting each other. What about those deaths? You know, I bet you every single one of those deaths get counted as a COVID death anyways. What the hell? You know? Well, he's like, well, those numbers can't. Well, no. What was the other one? Because I put it all into one tweet. I said, what about the suicide rate? I said, what about spousal deaths? And I said, what about the deaths that were caused by the riots? Because people were getting shot and killed in the streets. We had at least 12 people by the end of it over the span of a couple weeks. 12 people just in Indianapolis alone. Chicago is getting like 40 people a week. I mean, Chicago's a war zone at this point. What about Seattle? How many people died in Seattle? You know, people are dying. He's like, well, the numbers aren't going to show. It's not like thousands of people were dying in the streets of the riots. I said, okay, but there's 48 states in the continental United States. The 48 states. If you're getting 20 here, 20 here, 20 there over a month, how many is that? Not to mention the suicides. You know? And that's just considering that it's one major city per state that had a riot, and it happened everywhere. That adds up. I'm sorry, but it adds up. It's like crowdfunding. Everybody gives you $1. Next thing you know, you've got $1,000. You know? It's not just, oh, it's a little thing here, it's a little thing there. Those numbers add up, and by their definitions, they can count those numbers. And if they can count those numbers, then what the hell, man? You know? So anybody that dies at this point, you have to be subject to not understanding, or it's subject to looking at least. Trying to figure out what I was wanting to say. So that's 3. Did you see her teeth? Watch her teeth. Seriously, watch her teeth. It's scary. I saw somebody pointed this out. Her teeth. You want to talk about shapeshifters?
Had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem. Some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death.
Look at her eyes. Her eyes are so soulless. These people that get up here, man, their eyes are black and soulless. It's just scary. This robot, he is an absolute robot. But her, man, with the teeth, I don't know. It's weird. Okay, so there's that. And I'm not seeing number of Americans who think it's... Well, yes, because we're starting to wake up. We're starting to look at this. Books are cooked. Florida labs. The other thing I heard was that nobody tested positive or nobody tested negative in Florida for like 3 straight weeks. Just absolutely absurd. This was Texas, I think.
State of Texas.
State of Texas. All right.
Texas, the SHS has.
This one doesn't talk about the death so much. This talks about the new way that they count cases, because now it's cases. Because we can't scare people with death numbers anymore, because the death numbers aren't really that big and people aren't so worried about it. So now now it's cases. Now it's like we're going to scare you with cases because, a million, 3 million people, 1% of the population of the country now has it, and we're going to scare you silly with cases because you can spread it now. Everybody is now considered a carrier, and they have scared us into hating each other because the fear of being able to catch it from somebody else builds up on you. I saw a great video about how they've done that to us. Is they've made everybody scared of everybody else, and anybody that's not wearing a mask, they automatically have you thinking, oh my goodness, that person could hurt me, that person could kill me. And that's fear that they've instilled into us. They used the numbers to instill it into you. And I'm trying to show you that they are faking the numbers. They're cooking the books. It's not real. It's not real. It's a bad flu season. It's SARS 2.0. I've said this. I don't know how many times I've said this now. They call this SARS V2. They called it COVID because certificate of vaccine identification. But I am calling it SARS 2.0. It's what it could be. There's something going around because even the nurses that say that they are mistreating the patients say that the patients have their lungs filling up with something. Now, every time something's rolled through, I never worried about it. I got sick. I'd stay home. I'd eat some soup. I'd get up and I'd go. People die from stuff. It's a tragedy. I know it's a tragedy. It hurts and it sucks. But people die. That's part of life. That's part of life. You just have to move forward. 58 million people died in 2015 alone. 50 million people. I'm going to use that average. 50 million people die a year. You can't save everybody. It happens. It happens. I'm sorry. Get over it. It's tragic when it happens to you, and they've used that fear. The first thing they started doing as soon as all this happened is, you got to protect yourself so that you don't kill grandma. That's what they did to you. They told you have to protect yourself so that you don't kill grandma. You have to stay in your house so that you won't kill somebody else's grandma. And the first thing I said to that was, how many grandmothers have I killed over the years? It happens. How many grandmothers have I killed because I had to go to the store because I was sick? If I've done it, everybody else has done it. Do you want to carry that guilt with you forever? I'm not carrying that guilt with me forever. It happened. I'm sorry. That's why we ask for forgiveness. Because we can't be in control of this constantly. People have to die. It's just the way it is. You can't keep these people alive forever. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. If you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. That's fine. But what I need you to understand is they're lying to you. They're manipulating you. This is how they're doing it. Anyways, this is Texas, Collin County, Texas. I have people that live in Texas. Watch this and wake up.
Informed.
I know the people that are watching this are probably already woken up, but this is in your backyard. This is probably in my backyard. They're just not talking about it. I don't know.
Health departments that they have adopted a revised definition for COVID-19 probable cases.
So for confirmed case, it stays the same. You still just need PCR. But now they've added a probable case definition. So that still gets counted towards the case count. It's different. It's not confirmed. It's probable, but it's still a case. So at the end of this definition, there are 15 different options on how you could be classified as a probable case. Based on this diagram and what they report, there's a total of 17 cases now. One is still...
I have to stop. Oh my God. I didn't want to do this to you guys. I'm going to let it play. It's very confusing. The way that she says this and the way that she goes through this, it's very confusing. But I'll just let it play. I'll let you guys just watch.
Only confirmed because that was that original index case, who then had all these contacts underneath in orange, and all the rest of them became probable, but they are still considered a case.
This has the potential to be a very significant event for us here in Texas and here in Collin County, as the state now has elected to adopt this new probable definition. If you have a subjective fever and you have a headache and you live in Collin County, you now meet the qualifications to be a probable COVID patient. It is remarkable how low the standard is now. Mm-hmm. If you have one of the major symptoms, you have a cough or you have shortness of breath, and you live in Collin County, then you can satisfy the definition for a probable COVID case. But I'm very concerned that we absolutely could see the numbers jump very rapidly in a way that actually is not indicative of what we're seeing here in the community in the public health department.
The clips. And I'm not doing Alex Jones. I'm sorry. The man gives you 50%, 60, 70% truth, and then he'll throw some bullshit over top of you. That doesn't matter. The fact that this was the video, this was the part of the video I wanted you to see. Listen closely to what she says.
It's different. It's not confirmed. It's probable, but it's still a case.
Wait, hold on a second, because he uses the other one too. Like, here's Burks, of course.
19 infection. The intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep repeating it over and over again, so that you people know what the hell is going on here. And it's them talking over it is what it is. But that was, I mean, the whole video, I've seen the whole video, and I could probably find the whole video. But it goes on for a while. It kind of drags on for a little bit. And that was in May. It's July. They've been doing it for 2 months. Anybody in Texas, have you looked it up? Have they rescinded this order? Because this guy says, we've elected to do this. The guy said, we have elected to do it like this. The state of Texas, and he even says, this could create problems. But they're still doing it. Have they rescinded this? Anybody else know? If they're doing it in one state, they're doing it in all states. Because I don't trust any of it anymore. Anyways, this was the one. Every time I see this, I cringe. Just absolutely cringe. You have one confirm. That means one person took the test, the PCR test. One person took it, and they went and met 16 other people. That's 16 probable cases. You see how this works? You wonder why the numbers are shooting up so much? It's because they don't count confirmed cases. They count if you're confirmed, you took the test and you are absolutely confirmed. If you went out and you talked to 8 people, they count that as 9 cases. They will not tell you, oh, one's confirmed and 8 are probable. They will tell you there are 9 new cases. And as far as I know, they don't step these numbers back. They don't come back out a week later and say, oh, no, we got to pull them back a little bit. I know. All I hear is about these numbers going up. They never go back down. They go up. And they keep going up. And the thing about this system that they're using is, even if they did step the numbers back, then it multiplies on itself either way. I heard the stories of, oh boy, here we go. Let's try, everybody's done this. You can go into Google and you can type in, I don't know, let's try, what's today? 7/25. 7/25 new cases. Oh, Whoops. I'm using my work keyboard. Wow. 725 new cases. I knew I'd do that too, because I have my work keyboard right in front of me. 725 new cases. July 12th, 725. Indiana. Oh, that's us. 725. That was July 11th. Unbelievable. Pennsylvania. This is how they do this. India. This is how they're doing it. It's not. It can't just be. It can't just be Texas that's doing it. It's got to be everybody. Here's the news. Pennsylvania, Indiana. That's us. Another 43. This region 725 new. This is how you get the reports that, one person walked into a bar and then 85 people, there are 85 cases. 85 people have it now. This is how they do it. And they're not stepping back these numbers. Let me see here. This is how these are rising. Look at this. United States. I don't want any. I want all. Give me all. 60,000. What are the actual numbers? What are the numbers they tell us? 4.19 million. Look how much it went down back in May. Right there. It started going down back in May. That's when this was. When was this? May 18th? Started going down back in May, and then they adopted this back in May, and then suddenly it starts going up. See how this works? This is how they're trying to scare you. This is how they're doing it. This is a manipulation. They are manipulating. It started going down. We started flattening the curve. And then they instituted this back in May. Right about there. See, look, 19,000, 22. I mean, there's ups and downs. Of course there's ups and downs. But they started instituting that back in May, and as soon as they instituted it, that's when it started going back up. They're lying to you. They are flat out lying to you. And if they are lying to you, you have to ask the question, why? This isn't about the health of the world anymore. This is about something far more sinister and ridiculous. I have my own theories. You know that I have my own theories. This is about control. This is about shooting us up with some of the worst crap possible. This is about them telling us what to do, keeping us on lockdown. This is a form of torture. This is an absolute form of torture. They've isolated us. They forced us into seclusion by ourselves. They've isolated us. And now they're forcing us to wear masks to take away our self-identity. It's a lie. This proves it. This proved it.
2 weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So
I'm not saying specifically with respect to this case, but in some cases there are situations where there are other pre-existing conditions that may actually be the cause of the loss rather than COVID. COVID is there, but may not have been the cause of death.
A COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in and a form that the intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that.
This diagram and what they report, there's a total of 17 cases now. One is still only confirmed because that was that original index case, who then had all these contacts underneath in orange. And all the rest of them became probable, but they are still considered a case.
What do I got to tell you? That speaks for itself. I don't know what else to tell you. They're lying to you. It's a manipulation of the worst kind. And the people on the back end of this, the head officials, the big guys at the top, are now starting to talk about this great reset of the world. This went from, we need to lock you down for 2 weeks in order to stop this, to we have to change every single aspect of our lives. We have to change the way you handle money. We have to change the way that we work. We have to change the way that we live. We have to change everything. And they keep pushing, and they keep pushing. The people at the top are still talking about biometric IDs. They're still talking about DNA changing shots. They are talking about mandating everything to a point that you will not be able to leave your house if you don't do what they tell you. This is a lie. It's a manipulation. And they are bringing about something that a lot of people aren't going to like, but a lot of people just are not listening, and they're not waking up. And they're going to wind up being stuck right in the middle of this thing. And they're not going to know. And all the people that have been screaming this from the mountaintops, I don't care how long they've been screaming it from the mountaintops. They've been screaming it from the mountaintops for years and years and years and years. Watch out. These people are coming. They're doing bad things. They're talking about one world order. They're talking about one world currency. They're talking about one world religion. These people have been saying it for hundreds and hundreds of years. Last time I checked, we were told from 1776, whether it's real or not, whether the founding of this country was real or not, I don't know. But we were told inside of that document, inside of the Constitution, inside of the Declaration of Independence, we were told that we have to constantly be vigilant. And we're not. And here we are. And they're telling you the truth. They're telling it right to your face, and you're not listening. Even when you put it right into somebody's face, they're not listening. And it blows my mind. People just don't want to hear it. And they just think everything's going to be hunky-dory. The vaccine will come out. We'll be okay. They'll be all right. Things will go back to normal. Things aren't going to go back to normal. They're having coin shortages. Wait until they have money shortages. They're taking away your cash. Having cash means that you have freedom away from somebody that can constantly track you. They're doing it now anyways. I mean, it's just, they're doing it now anyways. The phones, they do it to you. They do it to you, but they're going to make it mandated. They're going to do it. And then they're going to start talking about vaccine identifications. You got shots? You have your immunity passport? They're already requiring that on flights now to go out of country. They're going to start requiring it between states. When New York and Florida have started putting up these roadblocks to if you come from, what is it, New York City, they said that there's like 38 states on the list. If you come from any of those 38 states, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks if you want to enter into the state of New York. It's slow. I think that's what people don't seem to understand, is that it is a slow burn. They want to slowly put this in because they found out back in the day, the Romans and probably the Greeks, I don't know, any evil empire that we've heard about, they did it all at once. And the people rebelled. And we didn't like it. I bet you the British probably even did it over here too. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if I don't know if history's real anymore, but we're just going to go on the understanding that maybe it's real. But they tried to force it too much, and people said no. People rebelled. So they turned around and said, okay, fine. Then we're going to do a slow burn. We're going to do it nice and slow. People on top are still having the time of their lives, but they have to control us. Because they know that we're starting to see the cracks. The people on the bottom are starting to see the cracks in the rules of the people on the top. So they're having to push back. But they have to do it slow. And they've done it so slowly and so well, they've broken down our minds that they found a way to do it. They've absolutely found a way to do it. And people have talked about that. I cannot express that to you enough. I have heard so many recordings, watched so many movies. Watch the what's the guy's name? You're gonna see my face get all bright while I look for this. JB. Try that. Oh, I did it again. I'm an idiot. Okay. Cannot remember his name. Yuri Bezmenov? Is that him? I'll bring you guys into this.
Most of the American politicians, media, and educational system trains another generation of people who think they are living at a peacetime. False. The United States is in a state of war, undeclared total war against the basic principles and the foundations of this system. And the initiator of this war, however ridiculous it may sound, the world communist system or the world communist conspiracy, whether I scare some people or not, I don't give a hoot. If you are not scared by now, nothing can scare you. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to, unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Our conversation is with...
This was from the 1980s. I think is when it was, mid-1980s. This guy, he lays it out. He tells you how communism is breaking in. He tells you how they manipulate and tear down I don't know if it's
beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand. Unlike in present United States, the psychological shock when they will see in future what they...
It was talking about tearing down our sense of self first, about tearing down our sense of respect for ourselves, and then slowly but surely subverting us. This guy was talking about it in the 80s. Let's try JFK. This is the 60s.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news.
This was back in the 60s. He went on to talk about, there's a group of men. Eisenhower did the same thing. I don't know if this is... What is this? It says 94. But if this is what I think it is...
This is what we started to call the intermediate currency, because this is not the final currency.
This is a new one.
Something about this article, if the chip is, CNN had a piece on about Canada where they've already proposed this for all of the exotic animals. It is a must. It is not an option. It is mandatory. There's a lot of people who pay a lot of money for animals. There's a lot of people, as I said before, who think that the animal...
Yeah, there's a new one. I can't really talk about that one. Try this. I love how you put in NWO and the first thing that comes up is wrestling. The one from the 1950 something, and this guy was talking about the Illuminati and New World Order, and just so we're clear, everybody that wants to think, oh, it's not real, that that they would never do this. Oh.
Is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again, and the institutions and rules that work so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened, and some have to be changed.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics.
Kissinger. How is Kissinger still a thing? How is that man still talking to people and telling them what to do? I can't go on anymore. I am so over it. I can't do that. We've been warned for years. We've been warned for almost a century. If you get down to it, we've been warned for 2 centuries. Don't ever let them get into power. And yet here we are, because you people enjoy sitting back and watching your TV and eating your McDonald's, and I used to like McDonald's. I don't eat it much anymore. It's been about a year. But you guys enjoyed all the bread and circuses that they gave you, and they kept giving you promises. Sometimes they even straight up bought you out. You sold your country out for $1,200 this year. I still haven't spent mine. Mine's still in the bank. We spent Angie's. We bought guns. I said we bought guns. We bought guns. And I'm really starting to... I haven't said it out loud, but I'm going to say it right now. I didn't buy those guns to keep those people out of my house that are trying to break into my house. I bought those guns for the government officials that are going to be coming to my door. And that's a fact. You have a problem with that? Let's go. That's all there is to it. I'm not lying to you. I want you guys to know the truth. This is where we are. And there are so many people now that are screaming to get you to hear, what else do I have to do? What else do I have to do? I showed you the videos. I showed you what they're saying. And that's just the stuff we do know. What about the stuff we don't know? What about the stuff that's been going on behind closed doors? You know, the closed door sessions because everything has been shut down. You know, the online discussions that they're having that they're not telling us about. This is why I had to step away for a while, because it's really weighing heavy on me. And then yesterday, I got another kick in the balls. My, what would you call it? My granduncle? It was my grandmother's brother. He's a good man. He's a good dude. He passed away. Apparently, he's been in the hospital for the past couple weeks. Died of kidney failure. We didn't know. I didn't know because we haven't been able to keep in contact. Nobody's really talking to each other. My mom, she's been in a nursing care home for the past 2 months or month, however long it's been, because she's had problems. You know, she had to go to the hospital. But we didn't know he was in the hospital. And the only thing that's going through my mind is they're going to count him as a COVID death. And that really pisses me off. You can't do that. I had to talk with a couple people about related deaths. About what if it's a COVID related death? What if the COVIDity had something to do with, you know, what if it had something to do with kidney failure? What if it had something to do with your heart attack? You know? So I said, okay, fine. But you can't count it like that. If somebody, what was the way I put it? If a couple is having an argument, if a couple is having an argument about the lack of money they don't have because they lost their jobs due to the government shutdown, and the husband wrecks the car and kills somebody else by wrecking the car because they were arguing over the COVID shutdown, that's not a related death. The guy died in a car accident. You can't count it as a COVID death because it was related. And I don't care what you say, it still doesn't count. You can't say he died of a heart attack that could have been COVID related. It doesn't work that way. He died of a heart attack. That's what he died from. You cannot say somebody that commits suicide because they lost their job or because they tested positive. You cannot count that. And I'm sure that's happened too. I bet you any amount of money somebody tested positive, they got so freaked out and they killed themselves. Or that they thought that there was no hope because they've been so scared about the numbers that they're posting every day. They got so scared that they went home and they killed themselves. You cannot count that as relation. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. If you get pneumonia and you have it, it doesn't work that way. They have found the ultimate boogeyman that they can put on top of anything they want, because the symptoms of this thing are absurd. You can have anything from headaches, lung problems, sneezing, coughing. I'm going to get to the weird ones here in a second. Aches and pains, all flu-like symptoms. Up into the craziest ones I've heard: stomach problems, vomiting, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome. I've heard that in a news report. Irritable bowel syndrome can be caused. Really? To blood clotting, to bruising, to sore spots, eye fatigue, restlessness, stress, to the 4-hour erection. I know I've talked about this one in the past. The 4-hour erection. Man dies from COVID-related 4-hour erection because supposedly COVID can make blood clots in the penis, and the man died because of a 4-hour erection. Man, do you see it yet? If you don't see it, I'm trying to hold it together. The saddest part about my uncle dying is that we can't have a funeral. We can't have a funeral. And I had one of the things that had come up over the past couple months as I was hearing that nobody can have a funeral, nobody can have a wedding, nobody can have anything of this stuff because they got us locked down and they can't allow people to grieve and they can't allow us closure. And this is torture. This is torture. Amazing Polly did a great video about how everything they do to us can be considered torture by the Geneva Convention. I think it's what it was, or maybe it was UN. I don't know what it was. And my aunt, she's such a good woman. I've never had a problem with my aunt and uncle. They were always such good people. I never heard them get loud. I never heard them get out of control. I've never heard them say a bad thing. They always treated me right. And in my family where there's always a bit of a problem here and there. We've had some arguments, but for us to lose a good soul like him, and my grandma can't bury her brother. I don't. I know he lived a good life, good full life. He had to have been 80. I think he was younger than she was. My grandma is 83. Yeah, 83. So, but yeah, his wife can't bury him. And it's just a fucking nightmare. That just happened. Something just fell off my shelf. One of my masks just fell off my shelf. Okay. Well. I wonder if that's that's where I should stop. Now, granted, I'll tell you this much: that didn't just fall on its own. I mean, it fell on its own, but it didn't just fall because of. I know why it fell. It's my that I'd showed you guys some masks in a video like several months back, actually, and I happened to look up and notice it the other day that it's the rubber mask, the rubber Slipknot mask. The sides are starting to rip. Apparently, the rubber's starting to get dried out and old. That's why it fell. But it had to happen right then, right? It is time to see what's happening. And I don't. I don't have the energy much anymore to scream about it. I am. It is a Facebook and Twitter blackout. I can't do it. I keep trying to make these videos. It last week I said I need to do it, but it was like pulling teeth. I said I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do it. This one I was ready to do it yesterday, and I said I can't do it yet. And then I got the news about my uncle, and it was just kind of kicking the balls. And now it's like it hurts, and it's stupid. And they do this. They've manipulated you into believing this. And if you're not going to wake up to it, then they are going to have their boot on your neck for the rest of your life. It is time to wake up and see it for what it is. You don't have to believe me about the New World Order stuff. You don't have to believe me about the, conspiracy stuff. You don't have to do that. You just have to listen to what they're saying and know that it's all a lie, and know that you're being manipulated. And then once you learn that you're being manipulated, then you have to start telling others. The fact that it's happening has to be bigger than the reason right now. We have to wake people up to that so that we can all come together and then start asking the questions. If that makes any sense. I'm going to stop. I know I'm tired. Had a late night. I haven't been wanting to sleep. I haven't been wanting to sleep because I just don't know anymore, I don't know. I love you guys. I wish you all the best. I want you all to know that we are being manipulated. You need to speak up to others. Show them how I showed you. Inflated numbers. If you want to watch if you want to watch the other videos where they try to debunk it with people, then do that. I haven't watched very many of those. The ones that I did, they were just saying, oh, they're just conspiracy theorists, and we do that, but then we walk back the numbers. But then you look at the numbers, and it's like, no, you don't walk back the numbers. You've never walked back a number since this started, and it's just the numbers keep growing, and people keep getting more and more scared, and they are scared of the cases now, not the deaths, because people just aren't dying. And the worst part about it is, they told us almost at the very beginning, whenever the summer hits, whenever the hot air hits, it's going to burn off. because it's not there. But now they're making people wear masks in 98-degree weather. Wake up. Fight for your right to live. This isn't even about fighting for your right to not wear a mask. This is about fighting for your right to live. They are trying to kill you. They've admitted that too. Do I need to go through the videos? I'll pull out the videos. I'll pull out the video where old Billy Boy Gates is sitting there saying we can reduce the population by 15%. You know, I'll pull up the video where Rockefeller says, you know, there are too many people in the world. Where Ted Turner says, I think we need to reduce the population. I will pull those up. They've been saying that for years too. Oh, they're just saying that. They're just rich old misers. Those rich old misers are running your world now. What are you going to do? It's been in your face for so long, but nobody wants to believe it because you've been told that it's all just a conspiracy theory. And now we're right on top of it. And people still aren't listening. People just can't see it. Oh, it's not going to, whatever. I can't save everybody. I love you guys. Take care. Pray. Pray every day. Pray harder than you've ever prayed before. Because it's just coming. Coming. Whatever it is, it's coming. You guys take it easy.